So we're on number 20 to 11 now of my favourite games of all time. What I'm saying are the best board games of all time that are subjective to me because they're in my collection. They're in my collection. They may not be the best for everybody. There's many games out there that I've never owned. Many games out there that I've of course never played. So, I'm sure there's better games out there, but for me, these are the best games, and I hope it gives a pointer or, makes some people aware of games that are out there that they haven't played themselves, that I think after 10 years of playing hundreds and hundreds of games, that these are my top 30 games, and we're on starting with number 20. Okay, and number 20 on the list, absolutely brilliant, one of my favourite designers of all time, Vlada Chvátil, Dungeon Pets. Donna loves this game as well, don't you? It's a fabulous game. It was a sequel to Dungeon Lords, but set in the same universe, but two very different games. And art by, is it David Cochard? Isn't it? I think is the artist on this game. Does it say it somewhere? Yeah, the artist David Cochard or Cochard. I love this art. Let's just look at that box front. And I know, reading the notes on this, and it struck me at the time when we started playing many years ago, Dungeon Pets. This game is one, again, it's a game that you will laugh and talk about, and we do, don't we, afterwards. And when we get it out again, it was only recently we played it a week or so ago, week and a half, a couple of weeks ago, and had a game of it. And we always refer to some funny things that have happened before, because these pets, Vlada Chvátil says in his notes that he wanted I think he says talking with his wife, he wanted to make a game where there was almost this living thing in it, and the pets do kind of behave like that because they get very naughty. They let's have a look, show you some pets. So we've got this, I think this was Art's Cow, a bag, somebody put files up on Board Game Geek, and the pets, so you'll get them, and let's set it up right. You'll start it out, where are we? A young pet will be on 2 feeding needs, and an older pet on the board will be on 3. But at each round they'll go up, and you'll get these cards, and you have to satisfy their needs. And the pet has to go in a cage, and it can be sold. I'd say this is on the complex side of a medium stroke complex game. Do not let the cutie theme deceive you. It is, I'd say, medium stroke heavy. It's just a glorious game. Donna's favourite pet is Fluffy, isn't it? The big fluffy spider. But there's poop in it, which we call it by its more commonly name. And Fluffy normally drowns in that stuff, doesn't he? He gets pretty ill and stuff. Just a cheap tray here we have with all the bits and pieces in, as you can see. That was like a start player token. You can drown it, but that's the official start player token. It is a wonderful game. What I do like about it as well is the hidden, almost auction, well, not auction style, but hidden. What you do, you've got your imps and in your player colours, and you only got so many of them, and you can send out in groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a maximum of 6. Ordinarily it'd be 3 or 4 maybe, but depending on the group number, and you can bolster it with gold. Depending on the group number, is who will go first onto the board, and they thematically go from here up onto the board. Now let's have a look at this game board, because the game board is just so nice. We're banging on about that art, and it's dual-sided for depending on the number of players. But look at the artwork on the board. I just love it. And when you get the pets on here and everything, but the largest group will go out onto the board first, so they'll get spaces. I mean, you must always have money with a group to buy a pet, because you need to pay for them. But you must, and if you're going to get a cage, which will come along here to house the pets, then you need a minimum of 2 imps, because it takes 2 to carry a cage. It's just so thematically good. I mean, this is a straight-on Euro, but it is so thematic. It really is a cracking game. And if you've not played it, I think everybody should play this game. Vlada Chvátil has more recently, he's got into them like party style games, of course, with code names. Great success with that. And you know, it's Through the Ages, Mage Knight, Dungeon Lords, some cracking games. And I just find his designs ingenious, really different. And I'm a bit dismayed that he hasn't brought out a big meaty game for a while, because at one point he was my very favourite designer, and still, if he brought a game out, a nice big box game, I would be straight on it. You know, I would be there. And I'm just hoping he does soon, because he's such a great different type of designer. I think, like, people rave about Stefan Feld now. There's some Stefan Feld games that we really enjoy, that are absolutely top drawer. But there is some, like, they are kind of all point solids. But I find with Vlada Chvátil, his games are so different. Dungeon Lords and Dungeon Pets are in the same universe, but they're very different games. So that is my 20th game of all time. We've had so many memorable, fun games of this. And that is Dungeon Lords. Dungeon Pets. Are you ready for number 19? This game is very different. Probably the most odd game in my collection, I would say. Cannibal Mojo. A game by Jim Felly. It's a co-opportunistic game of cannibalism, cannibalistic mayhem. We played this many times, but because of all the new games that you keep playing, sadly we have not played it for a while, and it's one of those that I keep itching to get back to the table. There's something very different and captivating about this game for me. I had a quick brief look again at the Cannibal Mojo page on BGG and some of the comments people make, and this is a very divisive game, because some people absolutely love this game, and I'm definitely firmly in that bracket, and some people are indifferent to it, and some people just do not like it. It's that divisive. It's like some games you'll get where you have a medium where they say like a 7 out of 10 game, and there's lots and lots of people saying that. With this game, I find there's lots of 10s, 9s, and then low numbers. So it's like people either love this thing or they don't. I can understand why people don't, but for me, I love the art. I mean, it's so different. The thing you need to do with this game is see the board. I think the cards are lovely. I love the artwork on them. You can get lots of spells and like incantations, and you activate them with your zombies. Which look at these. It can play up to 8 players. I've never played it at 8 players. I think I've played pretty much with every single colour here. Haven't I, Donna?
Yeah.
I think so. Because I mean, look, they're just so cool. Look at these zombies. They're brilliant. We've got the thugs here, and they have a brilliant system, like an AI, an artificial intelligence, of patrolling the board and protecting the king there, the cannibal king. When you kill him, it's like a game of two halves. The first half is definitely cooperative, because you need other zombies in your column. You'll build up the column of zombies, and to defeat thugs and what have you, and get to the king. But once you've killed the king, it then turns over to the crown. It's the first person to get him off the board. The game can run long, but not always. And we found as we played it quite regular, we reduced the time down. So every player has a board. There's some very cool mechanics. There's some terrain that you've got to kind of get through, or will disappear after certain rounds in the game. Some player aids and stuff, but what I want to show you is the board, because it is so different, and some people might be put off by a board like this, but again, for me, it was just I was drawn in straight away when I saw this board, because it's unconventional. It almost looks like a roll and move, doesn't it? But this game is far from that, and here you are in the jungle, you know. And your own personal player board will start at one of these entries here, and then you've just got to work through this game, avoid the thugs that will patrol around here, get into the inner sanctum, kill the king, but you need cooperative help with everybody else, and you've got all these spells on these cards, and I love the way you can activate your own particular card, and there's tons of them, and then it's This is one of them games where there's punch the air moments if you actually manage to pull it off, because once that king in the middle is killed, it's a free-for-all, and the blood will flow, and it gets pretty mean. If you get that crown home, and I think I've done it on a couple of occasions, oh, it's so satisfying. Just a fun game. Definitely, I would say this is on the medium, higher scale of a medium to just touching the heavy, because there's quite a lot of rules in there to digest. But super fun once you've got it all in your head. Great artwork. That is Zimby Mojo, my number 19 game of all time. Okay, my number 18 game. It's under here. Oh, right, here we go. This is the anniversary edition. I did have of Dungeon Lords, Vlada Chavatal, and it is the prequel to the Dungeon Pets that you've seen a couple of entries ago. I had the cardboard box regular version, and then and loved the game. And on Kickstarter, they brought out this deluxe version, and they did it with a card box as well. And the card box, you'll see, I remember it's in the lid. That's the front of the card box that they happily put in here because it's lovely artwork, isn't it? But it's quite a special game, I think, Dungeon Lords. It's not for everybody, I know that, because this is a heavyweight game. Like Dungeon Pets is, I would say, medium stroke heavy. I'd say Dungeon Lords is heavy, so it's a step up. But you're rewarded with that. And there's many different ways to play, because there's lots of additional stuff you can add in this game. There's the dark alleys. There's is it minions bearing gifts? There we go, minions bearing gifts, variants and stuff. We've not played them all. We've played the dark alleys stuff. You can create lollipops for the things. What do I like about this game? Well, I mean, look at the components. I know this is the deluxe version, but we've got lovely metal coins here. Great chunky components. These were not represented in the original game, but the lords, we're the Dungeon Lords. There's us, the different player colours here. Imps, the little naughty little imps again. What we got? Food and some nice glass beads here. Injury, so blood. Glass cubes again. Player markers here. Just absolutely great stuff. And the board itself, like the board itself for Dungeon, there's so much in this set. That's the thing, but it's nicely done. We're going to make. It's like you're going to make a dungeon. We are the evil ones, and we're going to make this dungeon. And through several rounds of the game, pesky humans are going to come and try and invade our dungeon. And we need like real nasty people to keep them at bay and build brilliant dungeons with traps in them and all sorts to stop them. You know, it's just a cool theme. The board, the art again, David Cochard. Fantastic artwork on the boards. And what I do like about this, let's get this board out here. Here's a player board. You build your, there's a way of playing with less players, that is, but you build your dungeon with these tiles here, and you'll set up like I say, traps, and have people defending your dungeon. I've got it actually upside down. And it's just, the guys that you get will come up here. But what I really like, you'll have these cards that let you do actions on the main board, and simultaneously everybody will lay free down, and there's only so many places on each board. So in a 4-player game, somebody could miss out on a place here, and you want to get the good spots. Some of them are reverse round at the end, but you want to get the good spots that are going to give you more. There's lots to think about, and it is multi-layered. But when you reveal these, really, in the slot that you reveal them, you don't want anybody else going in there. You want to be the first one going there, really. And you don't want to get bombed out, you know, so that by the time it's your turn to go, too many people have used up that section of the board, and you can't go. So there's lots of cool features in this game. It can be tricky getting to grips with how some of the monsters and stuff behave, but once you've got it, you've got it. It's one of those games. and it's just a wonderful experience that really pays off for that. It's got quite a steep learning curve, but it definitely pays off, and so satisfying, and such a great game that keeps you fully engaged all the time. Can give you a bit of a brain melt, but a wonderful game. This is the Happy Anniversary edition, but really I'm just talking, if it was the cardboard box version that we used to have, this is where it would be anyway. Dungeon Lords, brilliant game. Number 17 is a newer game. I think it came out last year. Underwater Cities, by Vladimir Suchi. Rio Grande Games and Delicious Games, definitely I think was the original. Absolute fabulous game. Yeah, I mean, what do I like about this game? Well, what's not to like? Oh, we've got some snazzy component upgrades. You know, we do this with don't do this with all the games, but you'll see that in a lot of these games in the top 30 because we like them so much. But yeah, it's the cards. The cards run this game, and we played this with Andy. Okay, let's show a bit. Again, it's got some Perspex upgrade here. You do not need that, and in fact, the expansion is having an indented board so that you know you can put things in them, and they're dual-sided. The main board. Here we go. It's all about the cards really, and of course different sides of the board for different player count. But the cards are all going to be set up on the board. There's certain in-game goals that you can go for here, which I'd always play with. What I do like is there's positions for most of the cards on the board, and it's the cards that run the game. There's space on the board for all the cards really, which is great. And so you've got your green here, your red here, and your orange here. And what's great about this, you have 3 cards in your hand, and you'll have cards that you've played. You're allowed a certain amount of action cards because cards will do different things for you, multi-use. But here's the unique thing with this game, and I wanted to get it was available, and I wanted to get 2 steel plast, which is a form of a material in the game, and a kelp. Now I could play any card, so here's an orange. I could play that card and get the 2 steel plast and a kelp. But if I played a red card, I could get the 2 steel plast, a kelp, and do the actions on the card itself. I think that's so good because most of the time you definitely want to tap in and into the stuff on the card, and they get progressively. I think it's the green is the weakest, then red, and orange is the strongest. I think that's the way it works, isn't it? And also there's upgrades you can buy here with end games or cards that have end game stuff in them where you can really get some good solid points. Building your city is super cool. You will have to build tunnels and cities themselves and join them together. You can unlock stuff on your board, which will have octagonal. Is it yes, they are octagonal hexes anyway. Tiles there, and as you build tunnels, you get the various stuff from underneath them. It's a super cool game. I think it took the board game world by a bit of a storm. There's such a cool theme, such a neat game. There's a great system going on here. It looks like it's like a mobile phone for is it like turn order, isn't it? And if you're going up the track, you get the various stuff on the track as well. It's not that long since we played this game, and we were playing this to death, weren't we? Because it just seemed to be wanted to be played all the time. It's just such a cool game. Resource management, of course, it's worker placement, multi-use cards, the great mechanic of matching the card to the colour, so you get both the action on the board and the action on the card. Loads of other chrome and stuff chucked on top. Really satisfying game. That's Underwater 16 on the list of all time. Well, it is the fabulous Grand Austria Hotel. A self-contained game, no expansions, no nothing like that. And 2 of the designers of Lorenzo, and of course Coimbra is their latest one. No, they've done something else, Terrorama, I think, since then. But this is a glorious game. This is kind of a go-to game. Whenever we go to a convention or something, we often take this game along because it's so easy just to get into, isn't it? And it's the decisions are like kind of can be agonising sometimes in it. It's just such a satisfying game to play. it's got quite, it plays up to 4 players, and I've heard people say don't play that game at 4 players because it has this snaking turn order. So like if you go first, you're going to go last on your second turn, and you'll put a die on a piece of card to show that you've took your first turn, and then it'll have a number underneath where you're going to place the second die, which will say when your turn order is next. But we played it at 4 player, I think about 3 times, and each time it's not been a problem for us. But you've got your Grand Austria Hotel, and you're going to get guests. Again, there's cards, and you got there's special cards that you can get that are going to help you. Are these the ones? Yes. What are they called in it? Staff that are going to help you break rules in lovely, juicy ways. And then you've also got customers that are going to come out on the main game board, which is here. And they're going to come out randomly. And they can be more expensive depending on how they've come out. And you want customers to fit into various coloured rooms on your personal player board. And you need to get them into the rooms, but they're all going to need feeding as well. So the customers themselves, let's get some here. Here's a guy. He wants to go into a blue room. He needs 2 brown and 2 black cubes. I think it was strudel and coffee, that would be. I'm pretty sure the brown and strudel and their coffee. He wants a couple of strudels and a couple of coffees. And once he's had them, he's happy to go into a room. But you need a blue tile on the board. They'll be here. You need one of those in the open position with the lady ready to take the customer into the room. And then once you've satisfied his needs, you'll get the 4 VPs here. But also, and then the room will be closed. But there's also points for how many rooms you get and what level they're on. Blues will predominantly give you victory points. Red rooms will give you money, and the yellow rooms will get you up on this track, which is the track you really need to be going along. Also, there's pressure on to do well on that track. It's a fabulous game. I know I got a friend, Frank, in Canada, Frank and Karen. I think this is one of their most played games, or certainly was up a year or so ago. I can't remember exactly, but they knocked up a staggering amount of players together. Definitely plays amazingly at 2 player, fantastic at 3 player, and I still think really good at a 4 player game. Grand Austria Hotel is just a lovely game. And that is my number 16 on the list. Okay, my number 15 of all time. This is a very newish game. And it's not Scythe. There's another game inside here. There's a reason for that. My copy of Tapestry is out on loan. Somebody's playing it. And I do spare parts, do some work for Stonemeyer. So I've got a made up copy here just to play while my copy's out on loan. Tapestry. First of all, when I played Tapestry, the very first game I remember, because we played this many times now, it is quite addictive. And my first game was like, I'm not sure about it, but Donna loved it. And I think that was the crux. I'm glad she loved it, because then we played it again, and then I was hooked. And we've been going through all the different civilizations in it. And I think there's 60. If I remember rightly, there's 16. And 2 player, we would play on this smaller side of the board with a smaller land in the middle, and up to 5 player, you play on that side of the board. And the game is run by the tracks, by the various tracks. We've got military here, we've got science here, we got exploration here, and technology here. You've got some amazing miniatures in the game. The only purpose they serve really is filling up a little land board. There's your player board. Everybody's got those. These have a great, like, sandy texture on them. But there's little, here they are, land boards that go next to them. And you'll get bonuses and points. And it's all about combos, this game. For filling these up with these exceptionally nice buildings that are all seem to be all over the show at the moment. But you know, you can even build a space shuttle and stuff, you know. And but it's I don't know, it's kind of a unique game. Very satisfying. There's a little bit of, like, I would say with Terra Mystica, when you take components off the board, you reveal income you're going to get an income stage of more what is it, food. Donna, you're very good at these ones. So what are they? Gold. Workers, men, isn't it? Workers and what's that one? Is that military strength?
Military.
Yeah. Yes, military. Yes. So as you get more of your little buildings out on the board, or out on your land map here, you're going to uncover extra resources each turn. There's also going to be tapestry cards that make this tapestry in front of you, and they're going to have a big impact on your game and which ones you decide to play and what special abilities they give you for that round or instantaneously. Getting to the end of any one of these tracks, you'll never get to the end of all of them, but getting to the end, you can certainly get to the end of one and possibly do really well on another. And it drives the game, really. There's some fun in it, there's a bit of luck in it, lots of strategic decisions as well. The area majority bit on the board is cool also. The actions get stronger and stronger as you go along the tracks on the board, and if you actually get to the end of a board and ring the bell sort of thing, there's some really, really strong abilities you're going to get. It's quite a unique game, I'd say, very unique. I've not played a game like Tapestry before. It didn't feel like a civilization game to me, but then what is a civilization game? We always refer to the civs that you can get because they're all unique. So it's just a lot of fun. It is a very, very fun game, and everybody who played it with has also thought it is fun. So that is my number 15 game of all time so far. That is number 14. 14th game of all time is something a bit special. I think, anyway. We've had so many glorious games of this. I have the original edition. I think it's from 1979. Very camp, gorgeous cover on there. Merchant of Venus by Richard Hamblin. He designed one of the heaviest weight games of all time, Magic Realm, which I've played a number of times with players that are far cleverer than I am and that have taught me the game. Merchant of Venus is I think it's just a glorious game. It's a pick up and deliver. I like pick up and deliver games. I just love everything about it. And we had Fantasy Flight Games did an updated version of this, and we owned it. And I think that was the first. It was the first version of the game I played, and they did a reimagined side of the game. I think you played with a different side of the board as well. You certainly played with different tokens and power dials and stuff on your ships. And I was a bit indifferent to it. It was okay. So then I thought, well, I'll try the original version, which they included in as part of the game. And for me, it was like night and day. It was so much better, so smoother, less clunky. I've heard other people say they like it the other way around, but you know. And then I thought, well, I like that version better. And there was a few mistakes with the FFG, typically, back then. Some of the tiles were so similar, it was frustrating and stuff. So then I sought out an original copy, and I just love it. I love the artwork, I love the board, everything else. Look at these retro ships. But I've downloaded some files on Board Game Geek, and we have our own ships. We play with different money. We have these metal retro ships that we play with on the board. Look at those. They're like, you know, they're just brilliant. We have a nice start player token. He's like a Star Wars guy, isn't he? But it's etched in Merchant of Venus. Some guy on eBay used to sell that stuff. And got all the tokens here. But look at these ships. And you start out with a little clipper. A scout, sorry. And you can upgrade these ships. Like, see, he's quite a fast little ship, but he can only carry 2 items. But he can carry quite a few deeds here. And relics. Relics are super powerful, and you can discover them in space. You set your speed with your pilot, and the pilot. You can set the direction you're going on with your pilot die and stuff. It's just a cool game. Upgrade your ship to a clipper, super fast, but you can still only hold the 2. And then we can get into like a transporter, which is reasonably fast, carry free, and you can get all the way up to a freighter that can carry 5 different lots of goods, but it's quite slow. Ships there, little player help. Look at this board. Look at this glorious retro heaven board. You can smell the age on this. It smells glorious. Look at the back there, you know. And but the board itself is retro heaven, and it's a glorious game. This is Merchant of Venus. Look at that. By the time it gets populated with all the tokens and the spaceports and your ships going round, it's one of those games. It's the first 2, I think. Is it 2,500 credits? It's something like that. But it's just an astoundingly good game. What I like about this Avalon Hill, this is so unpolitically correct. Where is it? There's something in here with the original advertising where, if I find it, it's a piece of card. Here it is. Do a friend a favour. Yeah? So this is from 1979. If you know someone who has the basic brain power to comprehend Avalon Hill games, then get them to send us this postcard. Like, you know, don't send it to somebody that isn't brainy enough. You know, I mean, you just wouldn't get away with stuff like that today, would they? It's just so cool. That is, what number are we on? 14. The absolute fabulous pick up and deliver with loads of quirks game. Oh, and this has some fun aspects. See these nav points here? These are navigation points. And I've seen games of this where you'll get a system of where you'll pick up a token from a planet, and depending out, because it's a different game every time, depending where demand for that token is, it could be in a good route that you can get to. But going through a nav, one of these nav circles here, you mess it up through some way with your die rolls and everything, and you mess up and you end up on the total different side of the board. That can be fun. You can also taxi drive. You can do like a bit of taxiing. There'll be people turn up. They're like done by chits on the board, and there'll be people or certain races, and they want to go to certain planets, and you can earn money doing a bit of taxi driving and stuff. It is just such a cool game. That is my number 14 of all time. Merchant of Venus. 13. 13th game of all time is what some people would arguably say the daddy of worker placement games, Kahless. This is the deluxe edition. I think it's called the deluxe edition. It's the only edition we've had. I think there's a brand new Kahless just come out or about to come out. Don't discount it as because it's an older game. This game trod a path that others have imitated and followed, but it's so good. There was a few years ago. This was the game of Christmas. Do you remember, Donna? We had the father-in-law over and the brother-in-law, and there was 4 or 5 of us were hitting this game hard once or twice a day, wasn't we? We played it. I don't know. We played it. I don't know. Could be up to 10 times, I reckon, over that Christmas period. Such a wonderful game. One that rewards multiple plays. I love the artwork in this edition. It's not for everybody. Some say the board's a little bit dark and stuff, but I like it. I love it. Was not keen. I've seen the board in the newer edition, and I played on it at a board game convention, but I do like this one. And tiles are going to come out, and this is one of those that you will build tiles on the board. You will own them. You'll put your little moniker on them. I think it's a cube or whatever, and then when other players go there, they have to pay a cost, but I think it's you don't. It's been a while since we played. There's a unique mechanism with a bailiff and a provost. I think it's where each turn, depending on player order, whether people move the provost or not. I think it's from here, isn't it? And yeah, and if you move the provost, certain tiles where players have gone will not activate that turn. It can be really mean, but you can mitigate most things in it. You've also got to build the castle up here. So there's that going on as well, and you must participate in that if you to do well. But there's so many the tiles that come out, and there's places to get gold. Gold's super valuable in here. Of course, there's places to get other resources that you're really going to need. and it's just a glorious worker placement game. One of the very, very best worker placement games of all time, and that is Kahless. Okay, my number 12, my 12th game of all time. A year ago, this would definitely be in my top 10. The Great Zimbabwe. It's my only splotter so far on this list. Splotter Spellen, which is two Dutch guys who bring these very unique games out. I played 4 of their games now. The Great Zimbabwe, Duck Dealer, the Food Chain Magnet, which we played recently. Antiquity, that I played probably 2 or 3 times, which is a glorious game. But the Great Zimbabwe is so accessible. It was a bit of a thing, first of all, because splotter rule books are literal. There's no great explanation in them, but all the information's there. And once you get used to how to read a splotter rule book, then you get it. But it's more like an instructional manual rather than a rule book. You know, this is quite an in-depth game, and half of it, there you go. That's it, because the other half's in Dutch or German. Yeah, so the rules are there, but there's quite a lot of text in there, isn't there? And it's a special awareness. It's like, yeah, it's a special awareness game, I think, because I love the artwork in this game. I'm not going to go off too much of a tangent here, but you will build the board, and depending on player count, the board will be larger or smaller. That would be a 2-player game. But it's like lovely, almost like watercoloured art there. And you will build monuments to the gods. And you can only worship one god in the entire game. And if you get a god, and you will, your victory point conditions, depending on which one you get, will increase. Everybody starts on 20. But then you can get like helpers in the game. I can't remember what they're called. We played this not long ago. And I played it many, many times. And they will increase your victory point conditions, but also while helping you each go if you tap into their special ability. And it's all about building monuments on the board and using up the resources. But you have a range. 3 is pretty much the magic number. And you need almost, if you like, the blueprint for it, which will be craftsman. And if you have the craftsman, he will be represented on the board by tokens. And you'll set a cost for using that craftsman. And other players, if they can use that craftsman, but it will use him up for this turn if he's used up the natural resource that he's within 3 of. It's just a wonderful, intelligent, clever game that is so much fun. Again, it's a splotter spell, and it's very, very different. It's very accessible. It's not too long neither. I mean, on the box, what does it say? So 2 to 5 players, 90 to 150 minutes. I say we pretty much get it done way before that 150 minutes. Certainly, I would think even at 4 players, a couple of hours at most, we can get a 2-player game done easily. What, 3/4 of an hour? I would say. A very unique, very clever, abstract but gorgeous. I think gorgeous looking game. That is the Great Zimbabwe. Last one in this video. Last one on this list. My 11th game of all time is the iconic Agricola. This is the newer edition. We do still have the older edition. I don't know why I bought the newer edition, really. We love everything Agric, so we just bought it because... But you can use practically all the stuff, and we do, from the original edition. And I had a stage of collecting all the card decks, and I have over 1,000 cards for this game. People love Caverna, and I've grown to love Caverna too. And it is a different game, but it's got similarities, a lot of similarities as well, hasn't it? But the thing that, for me, that stands Agricola apart and head and shoulders above Caverna is the use of cards and the uniqueness, and you can get some glorious combos in cards. And this is one of them games, again, where we have hammered in the past, haven't we, Donna? We had one holiday, and we were 2 weeks, it was in a caravan, wasn't it, in Devon. It was either Devon or Cornwall. I think it was Devon. And there was a few of us there, and it rained, and we had Agricola set up, and we got like Do you remember one morning we all got up really early, we'd set it up the night before, and we were playing it like before breakfast, wasn't we? And that day I think we played it 3 times. And it's just one of them things when you get that combo going in your hands, you know, of banging off brilliant combos. It's just brilliantly. So it's a game about farming by, of course, Uwe Rosenberg. And it's the one thing that some people don't like about this game is the angst of feeding your family, and it is real. It is there. For novices, I think most of the game they're going to be taken up with ways of feeding the family. But as you get adept, get good at the game, you will tap into combos and other ways of feeding your family, and that becomes secondary. And actually the joy of playing the game and building up this fantastic farm with animals that are going to breed and growing produce and stuff and tapping into points, it just becomes fantastic. The Farmers of the Moor expansion I'd highly recommend in this game. We never play it without, and quite a lot we play. This is just a mouse map for the seasons, and they add or take away goods available depending on the season. Of course, plentiful in summer and less so in winter, but there's worker placement spots to go as well. It is a fabulous game. It's a worker placement game with cards, and building farms, making it farm animal produce and food produce in ancient farming. The classic Agricola from Uwe Rosenberg, and that is my 11th game of all time.